Forbes just came out with an article about how 40% of women are business owners.
Traditional banks aren't targeting, female founders, and 40% of US businesses are now women owned. Women are creating jobs, they're driving the economy, they're spending more than men do.
When you're working with a company that isn't just checking off a checkbox to say that they care about women, they actually understand how women spend. So they know that women are primary decision makers in spending.
I think, trust and money, go hand in hand. What we're building is, a lot of trust, not only through our events, but customer relations is something that, we're most proud of.
That you are the only company that does 60 to 90 days.
Yes, correct.
I have yet to see not one, actually. Just 52 years ago, women could be denied a credit card without a male cosigner. Today, women are on track to control 34 trillion in investable assets, making us the fastest growing wealth class on the planet. Yet access to capital still determines how quickly a female founder can build, scale, and grow. That's why I love what Flex is doing. Their Net 60 card gives founders up to 60 to 90 days at 0% interest, creating breathing room between expenses and revenue, something every growing business understands. Because the future of female entrepreneurship isn't just about making more money. It's about becoming smarter financial operators, understanding cash flow, leveraging capital, and building wealth with intention. The best founders don't just focus on what they earn. They focus on how money moves, which is why I use Flex credit cards over others. Today, we have a rather unique guest, Valentina with Flex credit cards. Most of my audience has probably not heard of Flex credit cards because they're probably familiar more with Chase and Amex. This is really fun for me because Valentina and I became friends in Miami. We have a lot of mutual friends, and the founder of Flex credit cards is one of the nicest, smartest guys I've met.
That's true.
And that's why we're here, and that's why Flex is even sponsoring this, because it's something I love and something I think has an insanely amazing female initiative. Valentina, hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
What is your role at Flex? Why are you passionate about working there? And why are you passionate about money?
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you again for having me. Like you mentioned, I'm Valentina Pope. I'm the director of events at Flex. So Flex is more than just a credit card. It's a full service financial platform tracking every dollar from when you make it internally in your business to when you spend it personally. So we offer first the Net 60 credit card, banking, and also Flex Capital. My role at Flex is I'm the director of events. So I oversee all event strategy, both local and global markets. So I started solely in Miami, and now we're managing, events overseas in New York, LA, San Francisco, so in all of the major markets.
I went to a Flex event during Art Basel. It was out of this world incredible. I think a lot of people see these things and think that these credit card companies are just trying to throw a big party just to throw a big party. But what I'm seeing Flex do is create fun within money.
Yes.
Because so many business owners and founders that live in these big cities, they're stressed out, they're tapped out. And Flex is creating fun things for people to actually attend. How have you seen the culture shift in finance from like old Chase, kind of boring, kind of stagnant, to these fresh companies? Like, why are you guys doing this? Why is community even important?
Some of the major decisions don't happen in the boardroom. They don't happen in the meeting room. They happen in these more informal, fun situations. You're waiting at a bar for a drink, and then you run into the CEO of a major company. You strike up a conversation, and those are those lasting memories and connections that create relationships. And at the end of the day, relationships are truly everything. And that's why I'm so passionate about hosting events, is because bringing people together is the most valuable asset of all.
No, it really is. I think something that's really interesting about Flex, so I raised a lot of money and capital during the pandemic for a product that I patented. I raised $1 million, which was a lot for me at the time because I was also postpartum and I was tapped out. One of the biggest issues I had in my business was I had to be really cautious with money, of course, but I had to pay my different vendors. I had vendors in China, I had the marketing team in New York, and money was so tight. So every time I had to pay a bill, typically net 30, I was really stretched very, very thin on my end. The difference with you guys is that flexibility.
Yes.
I'm like, wow, the irony. The flexibility with the 60 to 90 days, which gives us, which I could have used at the time, a little bit of that breathing room that other companies simply do not offer. They're more archaic and they're more tight on the timeline. How is that even possible with the company? How did that even come about? I'd love to know. I think everyone else would like to know too, because I'm sure every owner is like, yeah, that's really stressful for me.
Yeah, and that flexibility and that like longer term cash flow is what sets Flex apart from our competitors such as Amex. That cash flow and flexibility is really what helps founders and entrepreneurs like yourself expand and grow and truly scale. So that's really what sets us apart from other traditional banks. And another thing is that traditional banks solely focus on transaction. They get your money, it's sitting in the bank. It gets X amount yields per year. However, Flex, we focus on, fueling your ambition. How can we help your company scale? How can we help you grow? How can we introduce you to other like-minded founders? Give you access to our events, access to the right circles. So
to the community.
Yeah, when you're a customer of Flex, you're not just a number to us. You're a person, you're a business, and once you're accepted to the platform and the company, you're invited to our exclusive events, such as our Basel, which we met at, and you have access to our amazing founders, community, and that's really what sets us apart.
What is the difference for a woman who's listening to this, who's like, I get a lot of points via Amex? That's what I would initially think, right? I get a lot of points via my Amex. How can Flex give me those points for flights, for whatever? I know people love points and point systems. Explain to me how Flex works with points.
Well, how Flex is different specifically with points is that once you sign up for Flex Business, then you can apply for the Flex Personal card, which is Flex Elite, and there you can get up to 5% cash back, which is one of like the highest.
It's usually 2 to 3, right?
Yes, it's usually 2.5 to 3%, but you can get up to 5% with Flex Elite, a huge, massive in the industry.
Yeah. It's interesting because all of my girlfriends love Amex preferably over others because of the point system, but to know that something else exists. What Flex is doing to me is kind of how K-Beauty disrupted skincare in a way that it already existed, right? These financial models exist, but the way things have done in the past are rather archaic.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
K-Beauty brought in that hydration, the fun behind it. Flex is bringing in modern concept when it comes to community. Even those 2 points extra makes a difference, bringing you into other founders versus Chase and Amex are like, yeah, we've been around forever, we're trusted, but that's where it ends.
Yeah, and I think we have both. We're, a trusted financial institution, plus we're going the extra mile and inviting you to the right events, connecting you with the right founders, really helping you scale. And we're not just focused on making money and getting your money in the bank. We want to help businesses and founders, fuel ambition and truly scale, because reaching the American dream is the most important thing of all.
It really is. And being a founder can be insanely isolating, especially, the women that we know, they're working 10, 12, 15-hour days. So they don't necessarily want to think of, well, how can I connect with other founders aside from social media, essentially? So you're kind of doing the hard work and bringing everyone together. I wish people could experience, like, if you ever follow my social media, you'll see when I'm at Flex events. And it's not just the men there. It's also the women who are really inspiring and doing really cool things. It's not just for the marketing where it's like, oh, we care about women. They're also bringing in really badass women.
Yeah, no, it's true. And then some of my favorite examples is from events is that, people meet business connections, love connections,
That's what I want next. Yes. I'm like, you better find me that love connection.
But you can meet a sponsor for your next podcast. You can meet your next husband.
Yeah, I'm like,
the world.
Zaid, where's my husband?
The opportunities are truly endless. And, as women entrepreneurs, I'm sure you can understand, you're managing so many things in the back end, family life, office life, managing your staff, etc. So, what makes Flex unique is that with its AI native banking platform, it really has like an internal CFO. So pretty much it automates the back office so you can focus on growing and scaling your business.
If there's a woman who, I'm from upstate New York, I'll just use upstate New York, who's from upstate New York, and her ears are perking and she's thinking, okay, Chase and Amex is starting to feel a little outdated. I want something more personal. But I'm nervous that all these companies will crash and burn and then my money disappears. What's the rebuttal for that? Because I think that's a genuine concern for women.
Of course, that's a genuine concern with any financial institution. But Flex, you really get to put a name with a face. When you sign up, you get to talk to somebody on the phone. You're invited to an event where you can speak to a sales representative. You can meet our CEO in person. So I think trust and money, go hand in hand. So what we're building is, a lot of trust, not only through our events, but through customer relations, is something that, we're most proud of. That you get to speak to, a real human.
That part, in a world of AI.
Yeah, we love AI. We're an AI native
amazing.
Private banking.
It helps us with everything.
Yeah, but I think talking to, a person is most important, and having that face-to-face interaction, whether it's meeting me or my sales colleagues at an event, it builds that community like we were mentioning, and it builds that trust to say like, hey, like I know where my dollar is going.
Why did you get into this? Why would you care to go into a financial business over anything else?
Came into my life like pretty organically.
Yeah.
I was working as an event coordinator for Brayman Rolls-Royce. And then through that, our founder Zaid met like through mutual connections, through a referral, through a various event. And I started working with 305 Ventures. And then when Zaid started.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. That's so nice.
I was doing like all of the 305 Ventures, Basel parties, etc. And then when Zaid launched Flex, he kind of migrated me over. And then now I'm the director of events at Flex. But what really drew me to the whole event industry is it's honestly so rewarding. It's like one of the most rewarding jobs that I've ever had because, people truly make the most amazing connections through, the parties that I organize. Whether it's a founder meeting an investor, it's very rewarding at the end of the day. And, relationships and human connection are like the most important thing of all. And if I can foster, and curate, a luxury and high-end environment that these people meet at, I will be very fulfilled in life.
It's so interesting because I always keep it very transparent on my podcast, whether it's a sponsor or a friend, which most of my guests end up becoming friends if we aren't already. And when we had met, for those who don't know, I'm sure you do by now, I live in Miami. And Miami, as big as it is, it's also very small.
Yes.
So when I connected with Flex, like all of us do, we ask around like, hey, what's the deal? How do we feel about them? And one of my best girlfriends, Kelsey, who's also been on this podcast, her boyfriend had invested in Flex. And we were speaking about it because in a world where so many companies are popping up and so many people are trying to get into financial institutions and tech and AI and all these things, it can be rather overwhelming. So it comes back again to that human connection. And when we were speaking about it, he said, not only did I invest, it's people I genuinely enjoy spending time with. And I think that it really always comes down to alignment. And furthermore, when you're working with a company that isn't just checking off a checkbox to say that they care about women, they actually understand how women spend. So they know that women are primary decision makers in spending. I wonder when the shift culturally, because from what I'm seeing from what Chase and Amex and these other companies are doing, they're just speaking about money, but they're not speaking to how women are spending. And I'm finding that Flex is doing that a lot. So it's respected amongst my male counterparts, but also my female counterparts. We were speaking earlier about how Forbes just came out with an article about how 40% of women are business owners. Let's get into that.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Because I don't think people are I don't think that they're aware of that number.
And it's true. Like traditional banks aren't targeting, female founders. And like you mentioned, 40% of US businesses are now women owned. Women are creating jobs. They're driving the economy. They're spending more than men do. And I feel like, traditional credit cards and banking, they're not helping these women thrive. And that's what sets Flex apart, is that we're really helping these entrepreneurs fuel their ambition. We're helping them grow with a Net 60 credit card, more cash flow, internal CFO, managing the back end. So, you have more time to make more money.
It's interesting because even the studio we're at now, the company that owns the whole street is a husband and wife team, but the wife really calls the shots.
Yeah.
And then next door,
As they usually do.
Right. And then the company next door is Jet Set, owned by Tamara, who's a girlfriend of mine. So quite often people will be like, oh, who's the guy that, owns this or that? I'm like, no, it's a woman.
Actually, Jet Set's a customer of ours.
No way.
Yeah,
That's so funny. Tamara's the best.
Yeah. So
she's next level. She came here with no money, no nothing.
yeah, and then now it's a huge franchise. And I feel like it also is so rewarding, like working for a fintech company, because you see that, the credit limits that you give, you see it in actuality. You see, Jet Set building these amazing studios worldwide, due in part to the credit and banking that Flex provides.
Actually, definitely let's get into that, because what does that look like for someone who doesn't understand what lending, I mean, obviously it depends on every company and where they're at financially, but can you give in layman's terms, as if you're speaking to a 6-year-old, how that kind of looks, if possible, just any sort of concept so people can understand that if they want to expand, what does lending even look like?
I am on the event side, so I have like a broad basic concept of it, but Flex does have, it's called Flex Capital, so it is, similar to lending, and then also, the net 60 terms allows for more working cash flow, extended credit lines up to 60 to 90 days. So for a business, such as Jet Set, if you're, purchasing contracting materials, contractors, building permits, etc., you might not get paid from the vendor right away. So,
which you pretty much never do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So instead of, paying, out of pocket, etc., so you get to keep more money in your pocket so that you can have more working cash flow, so you can ultimately make more money in your business.
From what I understand, from what I've seen on the market, and I'm not a financial expert by any means, but you are the only company that does 60 to 90 days.
Yes, correct.
I have yet to see not one, actually.
That's truly what sets us apart. And then with those extended credit lines, we really help you along the way to scale your business. So it's full service financial model. I would say, yes, we are a credit card company, but I'd like to say we are a financial operating platform, helping you, make money in your business and then also spending it on the personal side.
It's interesting because I feel like all credit card companies probably start off with this, and then the bigger that they get, those initiatives kind of fade.
Yeah.
But that's why I also think companies like QVC are dying, right? Because they were the stakeholders, but because they weren't obsessed with building in-person community, in real lifetime connections, whereas these other big companies were, now they're kind of a dying model. And like you said, as the world is evolving and as tech is moving so fast, what we have left is human connection.
Exactly.
Is real time.
Exactly.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's so basic when you really think about it.
It's basic,
that people are overcomplicating it.
Yeah, exactly. And especially, with the rise of AI and, virtual jobs, everything is remote. So I've seen, especially in my line of work, that people are craving this human in-person connection. Everyone always asks me, when is our next event? When is the next conference? When is the next mastermind? When is the next Art Basel?
The mastermind was crazy.
Yeah, the mastermind was amazing.
So beneficial to understanding businesses. Sarah from Glow Recipe, Hudson from Comfort, some of the biggest founders, and Zaid obviously speaking on behalf of Flex, but also what it is to be in the growth space of entrepreneurs. It's so cool to see a company really insert themselves in those spaces.
And it's really amazing. Our attendee rate is 80 to 90%, which is out of this world. I've seen, on the back end side, the planning, there's such a need and, a want for, in-person events and connections. The event industry is truly thriving. And
it's the best.
Yes.
That's why GAD is doing so well with the production company in Miami, because events are huge, especially post-COVID.
Yeah.
What would you, as a woman who's she's in events, but you work for a financial credit card company, if a 15-year-old, a 20-year-old is listening to this podcast, what are 3 pieces of advice you would give to her in terms of money, saving, spending? Give us some golden nuggets.
Start saving early and find, a trusted, financial platform that you trust to, invest with. So saving, investing, and then also having a trusted advisor, kind of like a friend, or doesn't even have to be, a professional analyst, but having, someone you trust to, guide you in the right direction. And then also having the right tools. Growing up, I don't think I really had.
I had none.
Yeah, I did not have the proper tools
No.
that, taught me how to invest, how to save. Learned that actually when I started working at Flex,
Yeah, I can
thankfully.
imagine. Yeah.
I would tell someone younger than myself to have the right platforms. And then, that would really, help you grow, help you learn how to invest, how to spend your money right, and how to earn more points so you can have more money. I feel like there really is a lack in the market and lack in financial literacy education for women. Like I wish I knew this when I was 15 years old.
We weren't even allowed to have credit cards without men.
Yeah, up
Our
until
grandparents' age, they couldn't do it.
Yeah, up until 50 years ago, like you mentioned,
that's actually insane.
A male had to co-sign for, a woman to even get a credit card. So think about how much we've grown in the past 50 years. Women now own 40% of U.S. owned businesses. So the growth rate is clearly exponential, and I'm very lucky to be living in this generation where we have
seriously, what
the
an
freedom.
honor, right? What an honor.
Yeah, and financial literacy is equivalent to freedom. When women have access to capital, access to credit, like that's our freedom, and freedom is the most important thing of all.
Oh, I could cry. I mean, people always say to me, they're like, why are you like so female empowerment? I don't even like that word. I think it's too markety, too trendy. It's like, the truth is women didn't have these independent rights. Mm-hmm. And when you have financial freedom, Danielle and I were just talking about this on the podcast 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. She's like, what if, God forbid, something happened to my husband? What if something happened to his business? We had no more money. I want to be able to survive on my own.
Yeah.
And half of the reason, if you speak to any domestic abuse shelter that correlates to women, mm-hmm. half the time is because they don't feel like they can be independent financially.
Exactly. They stay because they're, afraid of what's going to happen to them financially if they were to leave the situation. They maybe don't have a prenup, or, all the credit cards are in his name and they can shut them off. So that's why I think it's so important for young women to learn early how to manage, their money, and like where to put it, how to spend it, and to really just become fully transparent and financially literate to obtain their freedom.
Yeah I think that this is actually inspiring me to start
collecting
women. I know Nicole Lappin in California, she speaks a lot to money with women and investing, etc. But there needs to be like a collection of those women in one cohort. That's like,
and then even like, maybe helping to teach these women in, maybe abuse situations, financial literacy, to help them maybe escape their, situations.
It sounds like the next steps for us in Flex is that we're going to just basic knowledge.
Yeah, no, we really should.
No,
I'm like having on the spot ideas. No, but it's
Literally.
really, I've always been very passionate about, women empowerment and, helping, women, younger than us, thrive, be successful. So I think it is very important to help people that are underserved in the community be more educated about, financial situations, and that would ultimately, change their situation.
I think also on the flip side, as someone who was a very addicted, I don't even have an addictive personality, but I was addicted to shopping because I grew up without money. Yeah. So as I got money, I was obsessed with buying beautiful things because I truly appreciated them. Mm-hmm. But Brittany Arneson actually taught me a lot about how to even a small amount of money could be invested in self-storage or real estate, and even taking a couple $100s a month, how that can accrue over time. Correct.
Yeah, like instead of buying the Chanel purse, like maybe I should have put that into, the stock market, and that could have 10x'd by now. So
because it would have.
Yeah. So even, helping, young founders or young entrepreneurs that recently came into money, teaching them like how to invest properly. And there's nothing wrong with buying the Chanel bag maybe later on.
No, but I think a lot of founders are also embarrassed to ask, like, how do I use this 5, 10, 20, 100,000, 300,000, even just asking that can feel a little embarrassing.
Yeah,
so how
but
to
I think
take
that's
the
something we need to
out of
change.
it.
Like, I think as women, like, we should talk about finances more. We should talk about how much are you spending per month? Where are you investing? What stock did you buy?
Yes.
I'm very transparent with my girlfriends. We talk about everything. I'm an only child, so I didn't have any sisters. But my girlfriends are like my family, so I'm very lucky to have a lot of like strong female support. It's important to be transparent. Like, are you investing in the SpaceX IPO. Like, no, I don't trust it. Okay. You know?
Yeah, that's how I feel.
You know,
it's important to talk about it, though.
It's nice to be open about it.
Have you heard of the app Alinea, where you can invest even small amounts? It's very female focused. I'm going to send this to you because they show like all the different stocks you can invest in, even at like $50.
Oh, okay.
I actually want to connect you with them. They're
that
so
would be great.
smart. They're like Columbia graduates.
Oh.
One's Jewish, one's Muslim. Like total powerhouse, like basically all odds saying you girls are young, you're never going to do this, but they realized that a lot of women weren't investing at a young age, even small amounts.
Yeah, I know. Like, why don't they teach us that in school?
They teach us everything except what we need to know in school. I don't need to know
things.
the parallelogram to I didn't know anything about financial literacy. My mom's an incredible teacher, and she's a double grad from NYU and was incredible at teaching, but she didn't have financial literacy. She just knew how to do her job
especially
really
like
well.
Our parents, they were taught to just save, and then, you know, stuff the cash under the mattress per se. And, you know, no one taught me growing up, you know, what to invest in, you know.
Money can make you money.
Yeah. No one ever taught me that.
What are you investing in, if anything, or what's of interest of you to invest in?
Yeah. I feel like I'm looking into, you know, a lot of like tech, mostly like ETFs, a few stocks, and then mostly just like money market. I'm more like on the moderate aggressive side. I'm still young, working. So.
Sure, of course. It's cool because you're around so many smart, successful men and women.
Yeah.
So you get to be the ears of all
and no,
this.
I'm like constantly like listening. No, it's amazing because, you know, being a part of all of like the tech events, very fortunate to be, you know, in the room with some of the incredible leaders in the industry. So, you know, I'm always, you know, listening, you know, seeing what they're talking about, you know, what stocks they're recommending. I'm like, hello.
Yeah. I wish it's like let me be a fly on the wall in that room.
Yes, like that fly.
We should like this fly, but we should have a camera walking around.
How
cool would it be to do like a mini fake show of like what incredible founders are speaking about to invest in?
Maybe at the next event that we do.
A really cool series.
Yeah.
So many ideas.
I know. Actually, we're thinking a lot of ideas. Women, you know, financial literacy class for underprivileged, you know, that's another one. And then, you know, even like speaking or, you know, maybe interviewing or talking to some of the tech leaders that we have at our events would be,
cool.
You know, amazing.
Where can everyone find Flex and how can they sign up?
You can find Flex at www.flex.one, and then on Instagram as Flex Super App. You can sign up and apply directly on the website.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. This was so lovely.
I know. I loved this. We have to
we
do
talk about
more
this all day.
brainstorming sessions here.
And if anyone is interested, the events are mostly Miami, New York.
Yeah, we host events now globally, but mostly Miami, New York, LA, and San Francisco. Mostly all, you know, private invitation only, and, you know, very hand-selected group of, you know, founders, investors, and operators, and, you know, high-level CEOs, you know, focused on creating that, you know,
so if you sign up, you can have access to that and then be with us and with other incredible women that are doing really cool things in business.
Exactly, like yourself.
This is so fun. Thanks for being here.